Everybody. Today we're going to go through going back to creating that Wordle game that I was creating months ago. I'm actually just refreshing myself to how it works. So what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be creating a game like Wordle on the iPad with HyperPad. So I'm going to go ahead and share my iPad screen, and let me show you what we have so far. So what we have is we've created a Wordle, like a Wordle type game. And I'll make this a little bigger. And you'll see that there's a keyboard at the bottom. A keyboard at the bottom. We have all of our letters, and we have so if you touch one of the characters, you'll see that we make it turn yellow, turn gray, and turn green. So if you remember from Wordle, how Wordle works is whenever you whenever you type in a character, your character goes into like a guess column, and if your letter was correct, the letter on the keyboard will turn green and saying that your guess is correct. And if it was close, it's going to turn yellow. But what it means by yellow, what I mean by close is that letter exists in the word somewhere. And if it turns black, it means that letter was used, but it's not. Actually, the letter was not used in the word, so it's just um, it's a bad letter. So what we're going to do is, so I'm trying to remind myself how the logic works, because it's been a while since I looked at this project. And looking through the behaviors of this project, oops, let me move this guy back. Oh, what just happened? Did my iPad die? My iPad died, ran out of battery. Oh no. Oh, that's not good. Technical difficulties. Battery died. Oh jeez. Well, while my iPad's charging, my bad guys. But while my iPad's charging, we are so we're actually in Canada. Hyperpad's in Canada, and Canada has something called Coding Learning Week. And actually, hang on. I'm gonna call Clarissa over. Come, come over and save the stream. She's coming. So she's gonna talk a little bit about the Canada coding. Let me go get her. I'll be back. One moment. Come talk about the thing. My battery died on my iPad.
I'm listening to your conversation. This is so funny. Oh my god. Oh, okay, never mind. Hi guys. So I just want to say that the camera looks very good. So this week it's Canada Learning Week. So today we're gonna be teaching you guys how to make a game with HyperPad, and it's really great for beginners that never had experience. Like learning how to code. Like we have a lot of our users that use HyperPad, and then they choose a career in like coding, game development, and software world. So we're really excited for you guys to like make a game with HyperPad. There's also like really exciting news to say. So in January we're gonna have our game jam, but it's not just our game jam; it's our global game jam. So keep an eye on it. So join it. And if you want to participate, it doesn't need to be just with HyperPad. Anyone is welcome. You can make games. But we want you guys to make games with HyperPad. So, because we're going to have prizes. So if you want to participate, we're going to give you prizes for that. So stay tuned for our next game jam. It's going to be starting in January. So see you. I'll go.
Wait. So just to reiterate, there's Canada Learning Week, and then there's a game jam early January. And if you participate, there are prizes involved. What kind of prizes?
We still haven't talked about
the
prizes
yet. My bad.
Okay. But we're partnering up with a global game jam, and we're gonna be running events in different languages too. So because I speak Portuguese, I'm gonna host an event in Portuguese, and maybe we're gonna talk about doing something together where he's gonna be there for more like hard questions, developer questions, and I'm gonna be like easy. And with this game jam too, there's also something called the Global Game Jam Next, which is for kids age like 12 to 17, like younger kids. So, and then there's another one, the Global Game Jam, which is like the general one. So, if you're a kid watching this, you can participate in that, and that can give you like strong access to your portfolio, right? If you are a gamer yourself and you want to like increase your network and meet more gamers out there, participated on that one. So make sure that you pay attention on the tutorial today because it might be super beneficial. Feel free to ask questions. Okay, so see you guys.
All right, thank you. All right, can you close my door also? All right, thank you. All right, so it's cool. So there's a game jam early next year, so looking forward to that. And it's the first time I learned that I'm helping out with that. So okay. All right. So anyways, we're gonna go back to our keyboard here, and if you look at our keyboard, we have. So I kind of regret the way I designed this, where so the way I made this is I put the letters and the button itself on the same layer, which makes it very difficult to actually get to the shoot, I should be using this thing, but it makes it very difficult to actually click on the button. So, and this is too big, so I'm going to move that over. But yeah, so if you look at this, I might do the behaviors on my letter itself. So I go to behaviors. You'll see there's no behaviors on the letter, but the button behind it has letters, or sorry, it has all the behaviors. So when I stop touching the behavior, I'm going to broadcast a message saying I touched a letter, and I set each button has an attribute of what key got pressed. But yeah, so interacting with this is actually pretty difficult. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and delete all the letters. Actually, I'm not going to delete them just yet. I'm going to put this back. And I'm going to make a new layer. I'm going to call it keyboard letters. And I'm just going to put that on top of the keys. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to add a label. And I'm going to call it, I'm just going to write Q in here. Q. And I'm going to make the font size a little bit smaller, and I'm going to make it white. Okay, and I'm going to shrink the size of that just to fit into the box. Okay, and I'm going to make the alignment centered. Oh shoot, not A, it's going to be Q. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete that character on my keyboard layer. In fact, I'm just going to go ahead and delete all of them. That way, we just get rid of all these guys. Delete, delete, delete. And I can't really use the select the select box because that's also going to select the keys, which we don't want to delete at the same time. So let's just go ahead and delete all those guys. Delete all these guys. Delete. Boop. Flop. Delete. 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 And delete. Okay, let's go back to this guy. For some reason, this is A. Let's change this to Q. So we're making a QWERTY keyboard. So I'm just going to go ahead and duplicate this. and put this over here, put this over, just let's be centered just a little bit. And this is going to be the letter W. All right. Oops. And undo that. There we go. And then I'm going to duplicate that guy, change the sizing a little bit. This is going to be an E key. This part's going to be really tedious, guys. Just bear with me. This is going to be an R key. So there's a reason also why I'm not auto-generating this keyboard. So with keyboards, keyboard placements are very specific. And if you notice how like the second line is like kind of condensed a little bit, and the third line's even more condensed, and then you have like your cancel and your backspace buttons. Like we could have created a spawn behavior that just spawned every character, but also like all the keys are in like a weird order. So like you'd have to do a lot of logic to get that working as well. And then doing that would have let you make it easier to make it responsive screen design. So the way I have it right now, I have to make a separate keyboard for each screen size, which is kind of inconvenient. But it gives me more fine-grained control over each key. So I'm gonna keep doing this. So we have R, and this is gonna be T. Okay, this is gonna be like that a little bit. Okay, and then I'm gonna duplicate this bad boy and move that over here. Oops. Let's zoom in a bit more. So this is T, this is gonna be Y. People that are paying attention are gonna be really frustrated how it's not perfect. You can use the grid here to make it more perfect. I'm not, just because I'm being lazy. I'm just gonna get close enough. This is going to be EU. This is going to be EU. Oops, no. I. And the last two letters are going to be O and P. Oops. O, and duplicate this guy and make this all right, so now we got to do the next line. So before I even move on, actually, I'm thinking about the behaviors of each key, and I also don't like how every one of these objects is every one of these objects is like has duplicated logic, and I'm trying to think of a better way of doing this. So what we could do is we could have so on stop touching, receive message, on change letter. So we can have like a centralized place to handle this logic. The only part that might be tricky is getting an object by attribute, which you can loop through each thing. We'll get to this later. So I'm going to make it so right now every single key has duplicated logic. Very it's going to be super tedious to be able to like duplicate these buttons, and then also it makes it it makes the logic kind of all over the place. So if you're trying to like debug something, it actually makes it very difficult to debug this, just because like one of these objects could behave differently from another object. So what we're going to do is we're going to make use of the tags feature and the um, get objects by tag. And then what we're going to do is we're going to loop through each object in each tag, and we will broadcast whether that button was touched or not touched, or and depending if if that object, we're going to get the attribute from that object, and if it's the key, if it's the right key, we're going to we're going to change its color. But we can handle that all in a single place, and we don't have to do that every single um, on every single object, just to remove a lot of duplicated behaviors. But we're going to come back to that. We're going to continue updating these keys. I'm going to duplicate this guy. Oopsies, I'm not going to duplicate that guy. I'm going to go back to my keyboard letters, duplicate this guy, and then let's move here. And we're going to change you to the A key, and then let's duplicate that. And change you to the S. And this is going to be a D, right? And then this is going to be F. So people who are watching the recording of this can fast forward right to the end. I'm going to be less precise here. I'm just going to move these and eyeball these. H, J, K. Oops. L. And let's duplicate this guy. We're almost done. You're going to be a Z. You're going to be X. And I just turned to a D. Turn you into a C. This is going to be V. You're going to be a D. And M. There we go. And then this one's going to be enter. And then this one is going to be, you guessed it, backspace. Okay, cool. So, so now our letters are on a different layer, and then our keys are on are on its own layer. What's in this label? Oh, this is like a little test thing we had. So what we're gonna do now is we're going to we're gonna go to each key. Um, we're gonna basically I'm gonna duplicate this object, and oops, I'm gonna duplicate that object here, and these are basically gonna handle my key presses. And I'm going to remove the attribute from this. So this should not have a attribute. And we're going to go ahead, select all these guys, and I'm just going to remove the attribute key from each one of these keys. No, I actually didn't want to do that. Oops. Shucks. Can I undo that? I think I have to undo that a bunch of times. Yeah, I do. Okay. I keep undoing. Oh, do. Okay, cool. So if I go back to all my keys, yeah, my letters are back. Okay, nice. Okay, so what I'm going to do is not delete all the attributes, but I'm going to put these all in a single tag called, add a new tag. I press this plus button right here. And I'm going to add a new tag called keys. Okay. And all these objects now have the tag keys. So what we're going to do now is instead of, okay, so I'm going to do something else that's super tedious, is I'm going to delete all these behaviors. Delete all of these behaviors. Get out of here. Yeah, okay. And I guess, okay, well, sorry guys, I'm going to do one more tedious thing. And just delete all my letters. Okay. So what I'm going to do here is, so now that I have no behaviors on this guy, I'm going to duplicate this guy and over again. Just have several of these keys. I'm going to put this, I'm going to use a grid. And I'm going to zoom in. Get it close enough. Okay, cool. I'm going to duplicate this guy. So this kind of happens, this kind of mindset happens when you leave a project and come back to it a little bit later, where you look at what you did before and you just don't like it, and you kind of start going on a refactoring spree. Even though it worked before, I just didn't like how it worked. So I'm gonna just go ahead and fix that. Okay, I'm gonna duplicate this guy. There we go. And then one more. All right, and then I'm gonna duplicate this guy one more and create my backspace, and then duplicate with my enter button. There you go. That's close enough. All right. So now that I have my backspace and my enter button, now I have to go into each one of these keys and then add an attribute called key. Oh, it already has one, it's just wrong. So I'm just going to go to each attribute. Set a timer for 10 minutes. I'm going to do this stream for another 10 more minutes, and then we'll continue again in a couple weeks. So W, I'm going to change this to E, and I'm going to change this to R. Oops. Make this T. And actually, you know what, I'm going to do one more thing, is I'm going to lock the positions of all of these, so that way I'm not accidentally changing its position when I'm clicking around. So attributes, this is E, R, T, and this be Y. Oh, 1 second. All right, so I don't know which one I touched last. So this one is a T, Y. Okay, this one should be Q. Nope, sorry, U. This one should be. Let me zoom in a bit so you can see. This is gonna be I. This one's gonna be O. This one. G. Okay. And what we're gonna do here, same thing. A, S, D, F, G. Again, if you're watching the recording of this guy, just fast forward. This is going to be super annoying to watch. Z, X, C, E, E, N, N, backspace, and enter. There we go. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go into our shared, like our centralized logic of handling all the keys. In fact, I'm not going to put this. I'm actually going to cut this guy. So to cut, you just press and hold your object, press cut, and I'm going to paste it on my main layer because that's where I'm putting like all my game logic and everything, and I want to have all my logic handling on the same place. So I go here. Okay, so when we stop touching, we're going to change this to be stop touching keys. We're going to get the attribute of the key, and the way you get the attribute of the key that we just pressed. So a cool thing about this, the event behaviors, is they'll pass out the object that got interacted with. So if we go into our get attribute behavior and we click on if we press and hold on this guy, on the little green output thing, and you drag it into the object A field. You can go ahead and click on object AID. And what that's going to do is it's going to let you select the key, the object that got touched, stop touching in this case, and we're going to change this from a predefined key to a dynamic key because when you're dealing with tagged objects, it doesn't know what keys it's dealing with. And the attribute key is going to be called key because if you look at our letters, let's go back onto our keyboard layer and go to the attribute. The key that we're dealing with is just lowercase key, right? And then the value associated is going to be stored in that key. So let's go back to the main layer, go back to behaviors. All right, so we're going to grab that key and then we're just going to broadcast that key that got pressed, and that's going to be this get attribute 122, and it's already handled for us because we cut our logic from earlier. All right, so this is going to be a little bit more tricky in that we need to create logic that will loop through every key and see if it got touched, right? So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to be a little bit programmery in that I'm going to create a function. And the way you can do that is let's just create a behavior bundle and let's just turn it off because we don't want this function to get executed right when the scene starts. And what we're going to do is we're going to create a loop. So what we're going to do is we're going to get all objects by tag, get objects by tag, and then the tag is going to be, excuse me, I'm going to see what tag we use. It's just called keys with an uppercase K. So we're going to get objects by tag keys. And what we're going to do is we're going to add logic, and then we're going to add a for loop. So loop. So for each, oh cool, we actually can do for each tag. Oh, cool, we don't even need the objects by tag. I forgot we had that. Cool. So for each tag, and let me just add a tag, keys. Okay, so for each object in the tag, we are going to, we need to create like an input, right? So input to our function. So what we're going to do is we're going to use a behavior bundle. No, sorry, not behavior bundle, but a box container. Okay, so for and we're going to call this box container current. We don't need current object. I'm gonna leave this alone for a sec. So for each object, we want to get that object's attribute. Object get attribute. Here it is. So get attribute, and we're going to get the attribute of the current value. And we're going to use a dynamic key again with a lowercase key. So we're going to get the attribute. So we're going to loop through each one, and then we're going to so get attribute key. If okay, cool. We actually don't need it. So I'm gonna we actually we don't really need to make a what's it called here, a function. So let's ignore that. I'm gonna just copy this logic for each one. And I'm just gonna replace this attribute value. So basically what we're doing is we're replacing the existing logic. So when we close, whenever a on close letter, not close letter, on close letter gets called, we're going to loop through each key and see if the letter that was close was going to, is the key that we are going to see if it's close to it or not. So what we're going to do is we're just going to update the logic we already had to just loop through each key that's close enough. And the reason why we're doing this also is when we duplicate our keyboard for different size screens, when we duplicate our keyboard for different size screens, we can just use the same logic. We just use the same keys, and it'll just do this for every single keyboard that we create. So again, we're going to get rid of this behavior, and we're going to get rid of this behavior. And then we're going to duplicate this guy and duplicate one more time. We'll loop through each key. I'm going to duplicate this one and again that one. Okay, and I'm going to update these. So right now this is pointing to loop 2. Let's change this to loop 3. So current value. And then change this to loop 4, current value. And this is going to be, all right, we're good. I'm going to change this to be get attribute value. And I'm going to change this to get attribute value. And there we go. Our keys should now be updated. So when you press play here, make this bigger. So if I press Q, our logic should work, but it doesn't work. Okay, so let's see why it didn't work. Attributes 122 on key pressed, and then let's go take a look at our game logic. Listening to on key pressed. I'm gonna create some logic here that will update that will set a label to the key that was just pressed. Oops. And the label is going to be this Hyperpad Wordle title. So let's see so yeah, the keys are being pressed, that's correct. So that's fine. Okay. What is this logic here doing? What are you doing here? So listening to on key pressed, we're going to update that label. Broadcast disable keys after 1 second. So what we're going to check H keys. Okay. So if received message, let's see what happens if, oh shoot, changing the wrong object. That's why. So we need to change this to be current value. So we're changing the wrong object's color. So we just want to do current value for each of these set colors. All right, let's just see if that worked now. So what should happen is it should go through our test cases of when you press the Q button, that's going to turn Q green. And the same thing if I close G, same thing. So now all of our keys are actually working. Check that out. There we go. So we just created a much more simplified keyboard, which is this is pretty cool. So now we just reduced our number of behaviors from like hundreds down to however many we have here. So like maybe like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3 by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 15, 19, 22. We don't need this guy anymore. Delete these two. So we reduced hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of behaviors down to 22. That's pretty good. Cool. So so now the next time we actually go do this Wordle game, we can be happy that we're dealing with some more simplified logic. I'm gonna add a little label here saying what this little thing is. This is gonna be our keyboard handler, right? And I'm just gonna shrink that text a bit. So this guy's our keyboard handler, and I'm gonna change this label here just so it's not so confusing. This is gonna be keyboard test, keyboard unit test. Okay. In fact, I'm gonna do one thing here and just add a little bit of text of what this test is actually gonna do. This will this will broadcast this will make the key that got pressed and will go through its different states. It will go through the on close state, like on close, on correct, on wrong states. That's it. That's all it does. And if you go in here, we can double check that's what it does. So basically, what's happening is when the key gets pressed, it's going to update itself to the key that got pressed. Then it's going to broadcast a message saying disable all the keys, so you can't press any other keys while it's going through this test. It's going to wait 1 second. Sorry. It's going to wait 1 second, and after 1 second, it's going to broadcast on close letter. After another second, it's going to broadcast on wrong letter, and then on the final second, it's going to broadcast on correct letter, and then it's going to re-enable the keys after that test is done. That's pretty cool. And we have a working keyboard. So this is what we're going to do next time. Now that we have like simplified logic and a simplified keyboard, we are going to add the logic for the guesses themselves. So when you and what we're going to do is we're going to use arrays, which is going to represent each row of guesses. So it's going to, every time you press a key, it's going to push a value into the guess array. And when you press backspace, it's going to remove the last value from that array, from the current guess that we're on. And if you remember Wordle, each guess will take, as soon as you press enter, once you have your 5 characters, it's going to go to your next guess and then determine how close you were to the word. But yeah, that's what we're going to do next time. It's going to be pretty cool. Yeah, so tune in next time. Just to reiterate, there is a Canada event happening right now called the Coding Learning Week. Yeah, just go back to the beginning of this video and listen to Clarissa talk about that. And then early next year, so early January, I'm guessing, or maybe February, I'm not sure. I wasn't paying attention. There's going to be a global game jam. And if you take part of it using HyperPad, there's prizes involved if you make a game through HyperPad. I don't know what the prizes are and how we're going to give them out, but keep an eye out. Keep an eye out for that. Yeah, there's a lot to look forward to next year. Oh, and some sneak peeks. I'm gonna give you some sneak peeks real quick too. Not really sneak peeks, but so stuff that we're working on at HyperPad right now is so you all know RX Codes. Oops. Okay, be quiet, Siri. But RX Codes is now on the HyperPad team as a developer. He's still on it. What are you saying, Siri? Stop it. So he's going to he's taking something went wrong. Okay. Please try again. He's working on a bunch of bug fixes, a bunch of awesome new behaviors. Cool behavior I just saw today was he's created a behavior to sort objects by distance, which will make tower defense games really easy to make. So that's a cool thing he's working on. He's working on several other improvements and stuff. Another thing that we're working on is our updated native hub. Oh, my camera just died. Why is that? So, sorry, we're working on our native hub, which means that hub that you've been used to for several years is going away. It's going to be replaced with a fancy new upgraded hub, which will make updating projects easier, commenting on each other's projects easier, giving feedback, playing each other's projects much easier, sharing them. It's going to make we're going to be introducing like a badging type system, like an awards type system, so you can get awards and stuff like that. Yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff to look forward to throughout the next year, and we're also being much more diligent on pushing out updates. And our goal is every other Friday. Sometimes it's going to be every third Friday. In this case of this month, it's probably going to be end of the month. But just because we just released an update a couple days ago, but we're submitting an app to the App Store, an update to the App Store every other Friday, and hopefully it gets released. It just really depends on the App Store review schedule. Yeah, so a lot of cool, fun stuff to support you guys. And as always, take part in our forum at forum.hyperpad.com. Oh, we're also releasing a new website soon, so you can so that's going to be a cool upgrade to there too. So just upgrades all around. Forum.hyperpad.com. We have a Discord, our Hyperpad Discord. It's an unofficial Discord, but it's fun to take part of. You can follow us on Instagram, Twitter, all sorts of socials. It's going to be at the on under the video. I think you can actually click on all of our socials and stuff. And if you want me to be talking about other tutorials or anything, just leave a comment, and we'll actually try to build whatever it is that you want help building. Yeah, we're always here to help, and we love helping you guys. Anyways, I'll see you guys in a couple weeks. How do I exit this?